that's true. Naked Palpatine.
Oh, you pick that one. Fresh out of the clone tank, nude Palpatine is my
Well, that's the first thing I think of when you say Dark Empire Palpatine. Hello everybody. Welcome to something a little unusual for me, as I don't often do comics, but Superman 2025 inspired me, so here we are with Superman for All Seasons by Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale. I really don't have too much to say. For non-spoilers, I mean, this is an old comic. Not like old, but I think it perfectly encapsulates Superman without ever needing to read 100 issues of a comic to appreciate that character. If I wanted to introduce somebody to Superman and, you know, they didn't want to watch the films, they want to get into the comics, I would say this is a good place to start. I like the art, and I like the stories and the different POVs we get. I felt like it just did a perfect job of encapsulating Superman, which is why, despite the flaws of the 2025 film, it feels like this. And, you know, so did the 1970s films, and so did Smallville to some extent, so did Lois and Clark, and so did the new Lois and Clark as well. And not really, though, with the movies with Man of Steel and all that, didn't really feel like this, you know? And the Snyder hate or love is neither here nor there, that's not the point. But this comic book was really good, like, I will remember it till the day I die. That's pretty much all I want to say, non-spoiler. I mean, it's a comic book, it's short, it's sweet, it's only like 4 issues long. You should buy it, you should read it, enjoy it, hold it close to your heart. I'm gonna get into spoilers if you don't want that. Now's the time to go. You know, so we have Lana in this. Superman has not fallen in love with Lois Lane at this time. It was cool getting to see how they went about telling the story, because Jonathan told Clark the truth of his, you know, history off screen. So we just kind of see how Clark's reacting to that. Also, hair being unable to be cut, so he'll have to do his own haircuts from now on. Something so Superman and so small, but I could have done more. There's a tornado that's going through Smallville, and he goes and he rescues a man, but he knows that he could have done more. And I don't know, it just speaks volumes to him, I think. And we get the this was also in the CW show, in a different context, but I love it. It's so earnestly Clark, with my mom made it for me, when he goes to save this kid, dumb kid, by the way. He's like on it looks like it's an apartment or something, and he decided to chase a cat on a ledge, and of course he falls off. Dumb kid. Anyway, Superman saves him. He's like, nice costume, where'd you get that from? And he says, my mom made it for me. And even in the beginning, as we're getting into little squares of the inner thoughts of Lois Lane in the following issue, that opening section with Lois was phenomenal, you know, and it's expressed elsewhere. But this man who has this power, who has this strength, he could do anything, and yet he chooses to be good. He chooses to help others for no other reason than it's right, you know? And especially today, where we are mired in Invincible and The Boys and the Injustice video game, you know, it's fine to have deconstructions of characters. I'm fine with these offshoots of Superman existing as a means of showing, you know, if Superman wasn't Superman. But we've had that for so long, with that 2025 film and with this, it is just nice to see, yes, that is what makes Superman Superman. He's aspirational. He's not. Spider-Man is also aspirational, along with Batman. The difference is that we're meant to relate a bit more. Spider-Man especially, because he's mostly a normal guy, but he has these powers, so he has a responsibility to help. Superman also feels the responsibility to help. But he's relatable in the sense of his loneliness and how we often, not everyone does, but many of us feel lonely. So we can understand that. We can empathize with that. But him, as a character, he's not meant to be weak. He's not meant to struggle. He's not meant to have to work hard necessarily for his power. The powers aren't really the point. He could be invincible, and it's not the point of his character. That's not, his powers are not the focal point. His powers, to be honest, aren't even that cool. They're kind of the standard things that most characters have. I mean, he's one of the first superheroes, but still, that's not why you read this man. It's because despite the world, despite everything else, despite how he could just be a Homelander or Omni-Man, he chooses every day to be Clark Kent and to help people. And I don't know, Lois's speech perfectly encapsulates that in the beginning. And then we jump to the following issue, which is probably my favorite of the bit, with Luthor's POV. He literally gets an entire city sick, just so this lady who was a fan of Superman, because this is how petty Luthor is, he knowingly gets the entire city of Metropolis sick and dying, then creates this lady, Toxin, to go and help Superman save the day, which they do, absolutely save the day. Luthor never planned on killing the city, but what we did plan on doing is killing her for being a fan of Superman and to make Superman feel guilty. So Superman goes back home for a bit. But one thing that the 2025 film didn't do, and neither did the original Reeves films do, that we need to go back to, or Reeve, sorry. Nobody really shows it. I think Smallville did a lot. We need to see, if we get a sequel to Superman, we need to see why Lex is the way he is. He is the way he is, in part due to his father, who, as we learn in this comic, beat him, but he never cried, never allowed his father to see that. And now he's the one laughing because he's a multi-billionaire. But he also really realized that Lex totally, if he had the same powers, would be Homelander. And that's the funny part. That's the thing. Lex would be Homelander. Lex would be Omni-Man. He would not be good like Kent. The last one, we follow Lana and her perspective. I really don't have too much to say about the final comic, but there is a moment. The speech bubbles are going, not the speech bubbles, the inner thoughts. And every time a nurse, a pastor, a parent, every time a nurse bandages a patient, every time a pastor comforts someone, every time a parent hugs their child, these are choices each of us make, not only to do good, but to inspire good in others. And I love that. I made sure to write that down. And I think that's a perfect way to end this video. So, I really enjoyed Superman for All Seasons. I highly recommend it. If you watch the film, you're not a big comic book reader. I'm not either. This is an excellent place to start. And I do highly, highly, highly recommend it. It is to my friend Al, who is usually on my podcast, Star Wars Expanded Universe episodes. This one's for you. And thank you for helping me read some excellent Superman comics. Till next time.